what kind of a pitch count is he on? Obviously, it looks like he wasn't throwing there at the very end today. I'm just curious how cautious you're being with him.
Yeah, he's looked great, been great in meetings. No huddle quarterbacks have a tendency to struggle a little bit with verbiage and calling plays and getting used to a coordinator calling it in your helmet. He's really adapted well to that. He's on a 30 to 40 pitch count right now, and that's just our physical therapist. We're watching that. We're being very cautious, can probably go a little bit more, but we just want to be very smart about everything.
And then obviously Jay Tufele was not there today. I'm just curious what was up with him.
Yeah, it's Tufele, and he is a guy that's got a fault. He had one positive, one negative COVID, so we decided to hold him out until tomorrow. I think he'll be good to go tomorrow.
Thank you, Mark. We'll go to Mia O'Brien and then Cassidy Hill.
Hi, Urban. I know you had mentioned that Jalen Camp was a guy that you didn't know a lot about when the team drafted him. Just curious what you saw from the various wide receivers, Jalen included, and then, of course, Travis, too.
Yeah, we're trying. If you saw, Travis was getting most of his reps today at wide receiver. We're trying. He's the leading rusher in ACC history, so for him to run inside zone and power and zone right now, we thought let's just, at the worst case scenario, you have a running back with skill set of a wide receiver. Best case scenario, you have a hybrid player that can do both, and that's what we're hoping to develop out of Travis. Jalen is a nice guy. You're right, I didn't know him. He is a big, strong, fast guy that works his tail off. So we just had 2 days, but so far really good.
And obviously this was the first day really on the field for you as an NFL head coach. I mean, emotions for you when you woke up this morning.
Second day. It was great to be out there, and I did take a minute like I normally do and just take a deep breath and looked around at the stadium behind us, and then all of a sudden you see the Jaguar emblem, and then it's get to work. So, yeah, I had a moment and moved on.
Thanks, Herb.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mia. We'll go to Cassidy Hill and then Gene Fournette.
Hey, Urban. First of all, was there anything sort of different that you had to change, or were you able to follow sort of the same script that you've always followed before? What sort of stood out as being different?
Well, it's different because you have 18 players, and actually less than that because you have some guys recovering from some injuries. And then Tyson Gamble also have a minor, but he tugged his hamstring yesterday. So we just wanted to slow it down and explain to our players that's not a Jaguar practice, that's a rookie practice, and the Jaguar practice starts next week. That's much higher tempo, much more energy. But I remember when I was in college, I would sometimes bring the freshmen in early just to acclimate them. So that's the biggest difference. Other than that, it's all the same.
And then speaking of Travis, I know the rule changes made the jersey number differences a little bit easier this year, but you've put a premium on that number 1 in the past. What was it about Travis that stood out that made you feel comfortable to give him that before ever even playing an NFL snap?
That's a great question. I really didn't even think about it. I probably should start thinking about that stuff because I was hoping they didn't change numbers because that's a pain for a coach. I want this, I want that. So I got to sit down and think that thing through. Haven't had a chance yet.
Thank you, Cassidy. We'll go to Gene Fournette and then Mike Duraco.
Hey, Urban, could you talk a little bit about what kind of tone you were hoping to set with these rookies here during this mini camp? And as a follow-up, are your expectations for this year for the team any different than they would have been in your other previous coaching stops in the first year?
Give me the first question again. I'm sorry.
What kind of tone did you really want to set with these rookies starting in minicamp?
Yeah, I've always tried to work what's the objective and then work backwards, and it was set and, I'll make sure they're aware of the culture, that expectation. Then our whole sports performance model training and what we expect of them, and then our practice habits. So, and then the final piece is to introduce offense, defense to them, or new offense, new defense, new kicking game. And, it was hard. Like yesterday, I don't believe you guys were here yesterday, but the tempo was much greater. We had some guys, had to pull up a little bit. So we went much slower today, much better teach tempo. I don't think it's going to be any different than the first years at the other places. We've always taken the approach. We're going to try to win. Every decision, everything associated with the organization is going to try to win. And that includes training, practice, draft, free agency, etc. So.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gene. We'll go to Mike Duraco and then Andy Staples.
Urban, is the plan for Trevor to limit him all the way through OTAs as well in terms of being on the pitch count, or is he going to be full go before camp?
I think you'll get him pretty close to full go by the end of Phase 3, OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So I would imagine pitch count, throwing the ball, I don't see as the issue. The number one issue is falling. You know, if we're going to he can't hand off right now. He can't take a direct snap from under center. We're just worried about the, any chance of that arm getting jammed right now. You know, they told me the labrum is healed after 3 months, which it's been 3 months, but we can't have a guy on the ground. That's the biggest thing is we got to keep people away from him. And that's the pitch count's not as big as the fact of keeping them upright.
Gotcha. And any closer to a decision on bringing in Tim? And if you bring him in, what's your plan on how you want to use him?
Yeah, I've leaned on my staff for that, and I imagine the decision's going to be soon. We wanted to evaluate, have them, because I have a new tight end coach as well, watch a guy like Luke and just get a feel for, because they are the ones that put him through tryout a couple times and see if he can help us win. And we have not had that. I imagine Sunday we'll come in afterward. All our focus is on the guys right now, and then we'll have a chat Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks, D-Rock. We'll go to Andy Staples and then finish with John Reed.
Yeah, I was wondering what you saw out of Walker Little the last couple of days.
Yeah, he's 20% body fat, 6 foot, whatever he is, 329 pounds, and heavy hands and great footwork. So, without putting the cart before the horse, which I normally do, I'm just really excited about him. He's a guy that really intelligent guy, and you just wonder if he would have played the last 2 years. He had an injury, and then obviously the Pac-12 canceled football and put the players in a tough position, and he didn't play. But he's been outstanding.
Were you guys surprised in the room that he was available to you?
No, we knew that. We did so much homework on him, and obviously their coach is a friend of mine, David Shaw, and so much respect for Stanford. And when they say something, the people I've talked to, we just believe he would have been a first rounder had he never had that knee injury. At one point, he was one of the top tackles in the country, and that was really hard because you never saw him until they got here. You just don't know what their legs look like, et cetera. And then when he got here, you're like, 20% body fat is pretty good for a 330-pound man.
Thank you, Andy. We'll go to John Reed to close out.
No problem. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Hey, back to Travis. Is that something that you feel just because you only got 18 players, or do you think that you're gonna try to split his reps at wide receiver and running back for the duration?
We actually made a decision, rookie camp, 100%, the majority, I don't know if it was 100%, but all those individual training was at wide receiver, and that's the reason we drafted him, is the opportunity to be a dual threat guy. And our history is always we've had a guy like that, and we saw him as that guy in the draft this year. So right now we're focusing on the fundamentals of wide receiver play, learning the offense from wide receiver. And like I said, worst case scenario, you have a running back that's elite with receiver skills. Best case scenario, he's a legitimate dual threat guy.
And just a quick follow-up. How much of the offense does Trevor knows right now, if you can say?
You'd have to ask Brian that. I don't know that. I don't get too much involved. He's been working at it I'll give those guys credit. Brian Schottenheimer and him have been, I want to say, 4 to 5 days a week, couple hours a day. And I check with Coach Schottenheimer every day, and how is he? And he's a coach. He's really, really smart, and he works his tail off. So there's a good chunk of it in. I can't give you a percentage of.